Hello everyone, today I'm going to just talk about how I make my webcam videos. I've had a few people ask me, what do I use for recording, what do I use for editing, what's my webcam look like, how's my setup, that sort of stuff, and I figured I would just make a quick video basically showing that. I'm not going to say this is the most professional looking video, I basically just wanted to get something quick that sort of gave the gist of how I did my recordings, and give people the ability to use the same resources I did in order to make their own videos. So I'm going to put a spreadsheet below with all the different programs I use, the hardware, that sort of thing. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to leave comments down below, and I will do my best to answer. I'm by no means a video or audio expert, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I definitely am not, this is not my industry, this is not my field. I just do this for fun, but I had a lot of people ask me, how do I make my videos? So I figured I would give something to sort of answer those questions. So without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. Hello everyone. Sorry if my voice sounds weird. I'm recording this from my phone. This is just my webcam setup. Obviously I have my mat here. I've got my webcam up here suspended on a mount. Got this nice little thing which lets me tilt it back and forth if need be. I've got some lights here. I've got a little desk lamp right here, and I've got another LED light on a stand. This LED light's nice and bright. It looks super bright when you just look straight at it, but it doesn't add as much light as you would think when you're looking at it from above. I do have a second LED lamp with an arm, but it's kind of broken. It doesn't produce enough light, so I don't really use it anymore. Ideally, though, you would have 2 or more lights. Honestly, the more light that you can have, the better everything looks. But I work with what I have. Also, you probably should try to avoid using multiple light sources, multiple different colors of light sources. This lamp is very yellow, whereas the LED light's very white. But I don't have enough lights to light up everything without using all the lights in my room. So I work with what I have. I try to generally set it up so that the webcam is pointed so that you can see the entirety of the playmat, plus also where I'm sitting. That way, if I'm drawing cards, you can see my hand. It doesn't really go out of frame. I do try to tilt the webcam so that it shows the entire playmat, but also it doesn't really bleed my cards very much. So, if I've got a card that I'm holding here, I can have it all the way out here and you can't really see what it is. As you can see, like if I'm looking at it here, I have it facing pretty far out, but it's not bleeding on the screen. That's just generally good advice so that you don't show your opponents your cards. I have this little stand microphone that I use. This thing was, I don't remember how expensive it was. I think it was like $60 or something. I've had it for a long time. It's not super fancy or anything. The webcam that I'm using is a little fancy. I think it was about $100. It's just nice because it's got a bunch of software that I can work with on the computer to make it look better, and it's got a nice wide field of view. I used to use this old, like $25 Logitech webcam, which was perfectly fine. Most of my earlier videos used that, but it doesn't look quite as nice, and since I'm doing videos, I decided to invest in something a little better. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to go over all the specs and everything and how to set everything up with the software. So if you're only interested in that, then skip to that part of the video. But this is what my webcam setup looks like. So as far as the hardware that I have this studio microphone from Amazon. I guess the list price is $80, but I don't think I've ever seen it for more than about $40. So yeah, it's just what I use. Simple little microphone. The original webcam that I used, which worked just fine, was this little Logitech C270 webcam. It's like $40, 20 to $40. Not very expensive, but again, not super high quality. The one that I recently purchased that I've been using is this Logitech StreamCam Plus, which is about $75. So a bit more expensive, but it has a much better field of view and so on. And then for the mounts, I use these, and the mounts and the LED lights, I use this video conference lighting kit that's got 2 LED lights, and I believe I purchased 2 of these so that I got 4 mounts, and I used, in my old setup I had 3 LED lights, and I used one of the mounts to hold the camera. In my current setup I only have room for 2 lights, so I only have 2 lights and 1 mount for cameras. It's about $45, so $90 overall. Obviously, you don't need to spend that much money if you want, but this is just what I've been using and what helps for making everything look, I would hope, somewhat professional. I use I use like 3 main programs for capturing the video. I use this software called Capture by Logitech, and this is just to work with my sort of fancy camera. You pick your source, you prioritize, frame rate or exposure. Audio channel I don't care about because I don't use the audio from the webcam. I can zoom in virtually, which is kind of nice. I tend to just leave it completely zoomed out because I want a really large field of view. Autofocus I turn off because I have it mounted, so I don't need the autofocus. The auto white balance is really nice because without the auto white balance, everything looks way too warm because most of my light sources are very yellow. Whereas with the auto white balance, it can balance the outside light, it can balance the lights in my room, it can balance my LED lights. Some things here like adjusting the brightness, adjusting sharpness, adjusting contrast, all things that are pretty useful. I can horizontally and vertically clip the source, which is really nice because that way I don't have to get the alignment of my camera perfect. I can just do it virtually. I believe this supports pretty much all cameras. At least it definitely supports Logitech cameras. But you don't need this if you're just using a basic webcam. But I just figured I'd show this because this is what I use. The important piece of software that I use is something called SplitCam. SplitCam lets you choose a camera source. So, I choose my Capture here. And what it does is it lets you use that camera source in multiple applications at the same time. So normally, if I looked, if you went into a Discord call and you look at what's streamed, I'll turn off my camera, turn it back on. Discord automatically mirrors your camera. And this is really annoying because it means that stuff like text here is backwards, and it's just not really what you want for recording. This is because Discord expects your webcam to be used for your face, and most people are used to looking at their faces mirrored, and there's no way to turn this off in Discord. I've looked. Your opponent doesn't see the mirrored image, they just see the normal image, but you always see the mirrored image. And so to fix this, if I go to OBS here, I've got an extra window layered over, which is the camera itself in the normal orientation. So if I were to, full screen this and go to my OBS, normally there'd be a person on the right-hand side, and this would cover up what I see basically. And this way, when I do the videos, it looks normal. It's not mirrored. And you can't do this if you change the webcam capture here to right here. I have it in SplitCam video driver. If I try to do Capture, so if I do Capture, it actually is okay because the Logitech software covers this. But if I try to directly stream the camera, you'll notice that it doesn't show up at all. And that's because the original input for the camera is being captured by this Capture software, which means that Discord can't use it at the same time. So if you don't use this Capture software and you try to just use the raw camera input in both Discord and OBS, you won't be able to get both of them. So you need to be able to use this SplitCam thing in order to have both inputs at the same time. Now I guess I can talk about the OBS camera settings. So in OBS, I have multiple inputs, my headphones, my microphone, pretty self-explanatory. I tend to boost both the headphones and the audio because I notice that they're really quiet in videos if you don't do that. Webcam capture, this is the SplitCam capture that I was talking about earlier. And this Discord capture is just a window capture that I have set to the Discord. So every time I boot up Discord, it always works. For my settings, I've got it so that it doesn't capture the cursor and it always matches the same title. Otherwise, find window with the same executable. This makes it easy for capturing Discord. For recording my intros and stuff, I also use a window capture. Sometimes I turn on the headphones, sometimes I don't. I use this for cockatrice too, so if you want to capture your opponent's audio while doing cockatrice, you just set this window to cockatrice and turn on the headphones. But otherwise, I pick whatever window that I want to be able to see. Apologies, I'm trying to navigate all this stuff. So if you don't see it right away when you switch to a new window, sometimes that means that's because your window was minimized, so you just have to switch scenes again. And if you switch scenes again, you can see new windows. So this is my Foxfield window. And then if you're trying to do spell table, spell table works kind of weirdly. I never got it to work super well, but you can just do a general display capture to capture the entirety of your screen instead of capturing a specific window. The reason why I don't tend to use this very much is that it gets all this stuff on the bottom, your taskbar and all this stuff, which you may or may not want to show. But this is also a very easy way to capture your entire screen. Settings. In here, just let's stream is output. For the output, I just have everything set to be the highest quality that I can. You don't have to do that. I also have it only exporting audio track 1. I'm not really an audio expert, so if you have more experience with audio, you can obviously tinker around with all this stuff. I just have it set to output basically the highest values that I'm able to select because I have the hard drive space for it, and I want the audio and video to look best. Yeah, it's all pretty similar. For the microphone audio, I do have some filters that I have set on. I have a noise gate filter, a noise suppression filter, and a compressor. I just added these filters and used the default settings. I didn't mess around with this at all. It definitely helps a lot. But again, I'm not an audio expert, so there's a lot of things that probably could be added or tweaked to make it sound better, but I'm no expert. This is just what I use. That's pretty much it for OBS. So I'm just going to quickly go over the settings I use in Discord. Basically, pretty normal stuff. I just set it so that I use the Logi Capture. If you are using, if you're not using Logi Capture, if you're just using SplitCam, then you would set it to the SplitCam video driver. This way, it always looks the same. It's always the exact same source. And I choose to not show non-video participants because this way, if somebody joins your match, it doesn't automatically reshift all the windows. So you want to uncheck show non-video participants. You want to show your own camera. That way, whenever you have it set up, if somebody else joins you, you're going to have your camera on the left and theirs on the right, or yours on the right and theirs on the left. It's very annoying. It's based off of the name. So if your name is first alphabetically, you'll be on the left side. If your name is second alphabetically, you'll be on the right side. This is something that you do have to deal with when you're on OBS. So if I open up OBS again, which anyway. So, in the OBS here, if you're in the Discord scene, if you have your camera over here and you're on the left, then this will cover up your own camera. But if you're on the right, you have to bring it over to the other side. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. I play in full screen so that I can't see the rest of the Discord. But this makes it so that when I have the OBS set up and somebody else joins, this perfectly covers it, and there's nothing else that's in the way. Yeah, that's really all I do for OBS settings, or not OBS settings, Discord settings. But yeah, just make sure that your headphones and your microphone are all the right thing. Make sure your camera's the right thing. Again, use the split cam. That way you know that it's going to work. If you try to use just the native camera, it might get eaten by trying to use it in too many applications at once. All right, let's talk about recording software or editing software. I use, get rid of that. It's very annoying. I use a free software called Video Prep Blogger. As you can see, because I'm using a free version, it comes up with ads sometimes. Only when you first boot it up. Once you've been working on it, it doesn't boot up anymore ads or anything. I have no idea if this is, an industry standard software or anything, but it was free and it worked well enough for my usages, so that's what I use. I have a template set up so that I have, the left name, the right name, the match, that sort of thing all set up every match, so I don't have to redo it every time, but you don't need to do that. You can set it up every time. I just find it saves time to have a template to save, so that, I have this basically blank one, and then when I want to work on a new project, I save the project as something else and rename it. I use for the titles, I use title 2 for the names and the match headings. This is basically, two layers. And then for the hands that are kept and that sort of thing, I use title 1. There's only one line of text. When you highlight over one of these text things, you get the different text, different fonts, so on and so forth. Vertical position, horizontal position. The vertical position is 0 is the bottom left, and horizontal is left. Horizontal 0 is left, vertical 0 is the bottom. So vertical position 0.88 is top of the screen, that sort of thing. One thing I do is that in the edit text, I turn off all the animations, make sure that there are no animations so that the text just appears and doesn't fade in or out. Obviously, you can choose to change that if you want. There's time and duration, which gives you start and end time, and duration, which can be useful to make sure that you're lined up with the video that you're using. You go to your media library, you can either drag and drop things, you can go and just select different things. I do recommend adding things one at a time, rather than trying to select multiple things to import at once. Or just drag and drop them onto the video track, and they go into place. You can see the different segments by the different colors on the top of the timeline. I just do very light editing. I cut out basically the intro and in between shuffling. This is obviously a cockatrice video, so there's not really any shuffling, but in webcam videos, I just cut out the shuffling between games, stick them in between each other. I'm very simple. I just use, for transitions, I just use fades. I use fades of 2 seconds between matches, and in the case of a webcam game, I do fades of 1 second between games in the same match. If you want to chop up a video, you can just use the split button. That gives you a split on whatever source you're looking at. Split again, and I can just cut out this section, and it automatically readjusts. Let's see what else. Anything else to talk about? Yeah, I'm not by no means a video editing expert. This is just what I use. When I used to put the starting hands, but I used to put them in the overlay track, and there's all kinds of things you can do with opacity and making sure that they work properly. I don't do that anymore because it just takes too much time. I would if I could, but it takes a while to do videos anyway, so I don't want to spend, it takes easily an extra hour or two to add in overlaid starting hands. Let's see. For selecting things, you can select multiple things with a right click and drag them at once. Be careful about dragging them. You don't want to drag them off of the track that you started on. So like here, I started on this top track here, and I can move them just as I want. But if I end up pulling them off of the main track, they all collapse into one thing, and it's really annoying to try to work on them. You don't need to have separate subtitle tracks because technically, if I have them all collapse on each other, you can select these little tab things. But I find it very irritating to work on them without having them all on separate tracks. So I try to keep them all on separate tracks. And yeah, that's basically it. When you're done, you can do the export, and this is where you name the file. You can select the quality. I have enough hard drive space that I just do highest quality in terms of video, and I also set the sample rate and the bit rate to the highest amount on the audio, but you can obviously choose whatever you want. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm not a video editing expert, but this is what I use, and people were interested, so here you go.